Welcome to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kayleigh Greenacre, a business strategist, coach, TEDx speaker, author, and your go-to woman for all things business strategy. I am obsessed with supporting female entrepreneurs to grow unstoppable six and multi-six-figure businesses that they love, giving them the freedom and life that they desire. During this podcast, I'll be sharing with you everything that you need to become a successful female entrepreneur, from the mindset shifts to sales and marketing strategies, and how to become an iconic leader that people can't get enough of. It is my mission to help you stand out, attract your dream clients and customers, and sell out of your offers with ease whilst building the business and life of your dreams. Let's make this your reality, ladies. Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kayleigh Greenacre, and I am joined today by the fabulous Catriona, who is a social media manager, strategist, and coach. And she's also the CEO of Level Up Socials. In this episode, we are going to look at how you can grow your business using social media. Catriona, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I love a podcast. I'm always listening, so I can't wait for this conversation we're going to have.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, my lovely. So this episode is we're going to dive into social media. And I think it's, one of those topics that a lot of people, a lot of business owners want to know how they can use social media to really maximize their business growth. So let's start off with, how can our fabulous listeners ultimately use social media to grow a successful business? What would be sort of one or two of the main things that you would say or share with them?
Okay. There's so much to cover here, isn't there? And I know people generally fall into two camps. Either they love social media, but they find it so time consuming, or they just hate it and they don't enjoy it. But it is a huge benefit that if you use social media to your advantage, you can grow your business so much faster. I'm absolutely a testament to that. I started my business as a complete beginner in September 2021. I trained to become a social media manager, and I had quit my job within 6 months. I had grown into an agency within a year, and made six figures within 18 months. So I am so obsessed with advocating for the fact that you can create a huge business on social media all organically. You don't have to spend thousands on paid ads.
Yes.
And I was a complete beginner, so whenever I'm training people or working with my agency clients, I always say, if I can do it, anyone can. The biggest tips that I would give, I'd say that you definitely need to stay consistent. Everyone hates the word consistent. The more you post, the better, honestly. When I went through a period of huge growth and I grew my account to 27,000 followers, I was posting twice a day. Yeah. So you don't have to do that. Whenever I say that, people's faces drop and they're like, oh my God, no.
The fear of having to post 2 times a day is probably, absolutely. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's a lot posting twice a day, but I did a lot of A/B testing, and that's something else I would say. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to post and see what performs well, and see what gets sales in, see what gets engagement and conversation starting, and just always analyze what you're doing and make sure that you're looking at what works well and doing more of that. And that's exactly how I developed my viral reel strategy, which is the strategy that grew my account. The content that I created, it didn't take ages. I personally don't enjoy going on Canva and creating graphics and carousels as much as I do editing videos. I find it much quicker and easier to edit reels in CapCut. So I literally created 7-second reels that used very early trending audios and had a very strong hook. I'm giving away all my secrets on the podcast. Oh my God. Had a very strong hook and really related to my target audience. And they literally took me 10-15 minutes to make every day and just get them posted. Doesn't matter what time it is. That really blew up my account. So I really would urge people to not overthink it. I think a huge block to success is overthinking. So many people just analyze and think too much, and then they don't put stuff out. And then of course you don't get results if you don't take action. Absolutely. So definitely just get yourself out there.
Yeah, I love this. I think, yeah, absolutely. I've had a number of conversations with, my own clients in the past, and I think the overthinking is definitely something that comes up quite a lot, and then it turns into procrastination because they're not sure of
Yeah.
what to do. And ultimately, I think absolutely, I totally agree with you, and I know that when I've created the most potent content, it's been when I just allow it to flow, allow those ideas in my mind to flow, and just get onto it, and strategically, but just get
Yeah.
creative, and have fun with it, right? Absolutely have fun
Yeah, I said
creating.
this to a client yesterday because she said, Kat, I just love how you're like a breath of fresh air and you get me excited about Instagram again. Because ultimately, I say this to myself all the time. I have to remind myself, I'm like, this is supposed to be fun. This
Yeah.
is supposed to be fun. Like, it's not supposed to, owning your business isn't supposed to be a drag. You're not supposed to dread it. It's not a 9 to 5. We're in control here. Let's just have some fun and just, inject a bit of personality. Don't make it into like a school exam where you're like worried if you're going to get the right answers, just trial and error. Another thing that I've been using a lot lately is really using active listening and listening to what people's my ideal clients' concerns are, or things that come up in discovery calls and on inquiry forms, things that people are struggling with or people are apprehensive of working with social media managers about, and creating content that really touches their concerns, sales objections, pain points. And it's really easy when you actually listen to what your potential clients want. It becomes so easy to create content about that, and the results have been really good lately. Been super busy lately.
Oh, amazing. And like you said, because you're speaking directly to them, because you're answering their questions, or supporting them in terms of solutions, I suppose, or strategies to what they're struggling with. So
Yeah.
absolutely take that piece of advice, ladies, in terms of
Yes.
what Catriona's saying. Catriona, let's dive into what you think the biggest struggles are. So obviously, I know you have a lot of conversations with people, you support a lot of people in terms of their social media. What would you say in the last couple of months have been the biggest struggles that people have faced in terms of, social media and sales?
I think the hardest thing about it is that trends are changing all the time. What's working is changing all the time. And so we have seen a bit of a change in what's performing well. And again, it comes back down to always analyzing and looking on your insights and seeing what's working well right now, because you could be doing something that you've been doing for a year and suddenly it doesn't seem to get the same results anymore. I see you nodding. Has it happened to you? It's painful, isn't it? Because you're like, oh yes, I finally cracked it. This thing's working. And then, user behavior changes, the algorithm changes, and you feel like you're starting from scratch. And even as a social media expert, I feel like that sometimes too. Let's normalize it, that we are all just testing, analyzing, seeing what works, and going in with, the best content that we can, speaking to our audience. A massive thing, not so much with my management clients, but with my coaching clients. I'm a guest expert in quite a lot of communities, and I have my own group coaching program. So I work with a lot of clients as a coach. Um, Showing up and speaking on camera, that's got to be number one, right?
Yes. Do you know what? This has come up a lot as well in my own community, and actually with my own, a number of my clients as well. I think showing up or speaking on camera and showing up, it can be quite a daunting thing, can't it? And I think, the thought of going live, I remember, my background's education. I used to be able to stand up in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people
Yeah.
easily every single day. But then when it comes to, you've got a camera on you, you've got a ring light on you, and
Yeah.
you're going live in 3, 2, 1. It's almost as if it's a completely different, mindset that you have to use in order to kind of give yourself that confidence. What would you say? What kind of support could you give people, or strategies or tips, should I say, in terms of getting over that?
Yeah, I've had this conversation so much recently because one of the steps in my Limitless Leads group coaching program is going live and talking about your offer and talking about a problem that your audience has. And none of the girls wanted to do it. Everyone was just like, oh my God, no, like, can't do this. So we've talked about this a lot. We talked about having notes. Okay. You don't have to just go on there and wing it. Me personally, I love winging it, so I'm all good with that. But like when I have something specific to talk about, if I have an offer and I'm worried that I'm gonna fumble up my words or forget something important, I will just get a post-it note and stick that in front of me where the camera is, so I just know that I can just glance down and make sure that I cover off any points. So the girls use that. I also mentioned to them about collabing, so going live with someone else. I find that so much easier because it's literally like you're on FaceTime. You forget that everyone's watching. You're just having a chat and bouncing off each other. The other thing that I just got them to do, I asked them some questions and I got them to journal on a few questions. What is the worst thing that could happen? Like, what's the absolute worst thing that could happen? What's the best thing that could happen? Could you sign a client? Could you help someone with a problem they've been stuck with for months? What's the best thing that could happen? How will you feel once it's done as well? Because it's scary before, but you feel so good. They all did it and they all felt so good afterwards, and they had a really good response. And just remember, with a live, you can just delete it after, or if it's going bad, you can just end it. Like, you're not live on every TV in the UK. If you just quickly click that X, it's disappeared forever. And we think about ourselves way more than other people think about us. So if you feel like it went wrong, it doesn't matter. Everyone will just forget about it. Like, no one's going to be thinking about that time when Catriona had a stammer on live in 2021,
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was really my advice, and they went for it and they felt so good afterwards. And I find going live is a really good way of making a good connection with your audience.
Absolutely. Yeah, you build that connection. People, and I always say to my own clients and community, people can sense your energy. They can
Yes.
really connect with you on a deeper level, in a sense, because they're able to see your character. And I think when you can show and share your character with your audience, they will soon be able to identify whether they connect with you or not. And I think that's like number one, isn't it? And I love the bit that you're saying about you can always delete it. Do you know what I do? I never watch back my lives.
No, yeah, that is like a massive one as well. And like, people always say that to me about face camera stories and stuff as well. Oh, I hate the sound of my own voice. Well, just don't listen to your own voice then.
Just don't rewatch
Post it and put your phone in the drawer and go and do something else. And when you come back, you'll have loads of engagement and you feel good.
Absolutely. No, I love this. Thank you for that advice. So I want to talk a little bit about growth, because I think there's a lot of, let's say, mixed opinions on this, in terms of you need a large audience in order to then make sales. I would love to know your opinion on this, Catriona, because, some business coaches will say one thing, social media managers will say another thing. And I think everyone is obviously, or has their own opinion to this. What would you say in regards to growth? Is it important for success in terms of business?
Okay, so it is a very controversial topic. I personally know business owners who have like less than 1,000 followers, but they're making like 30K months.
Yeah.
Okay, so just let's put that out there first. You don't have to wait to sell until you've grown your audience, because God knows how long that's going to take. There's no quick, like, click your fingers, you've got 20K real followers following you who are your ideal clients who want to buy from you. That's not guaranteed. So I would really say, don't wait to start selling. If you had 900 people in the room in front of you, like, imagine that's a lot of people still. I think we look at it as numbers and not as people. With that being said, though, the reason I decided to focus on audience growth for my own account, when was it? November 2022, I think. I went to a marketing conference and they had like massive speakers. They had people from Dragon's Den. They had people from all different kinds of areas of marketing, like paid ads. There was someone from TikTok. There was organic. The one thing, the common thread between all of them, even though they talk about different topics, was audience growth is key. That was like my big takeaway from the whole event, reading between the lines. So I decided to go away and really focus on growing on my audience. And that's when I started posting twice a day. And I do have to say, with having more eyes on my page, with having a larger audience, I have earned more money, because I have, I've got like a good offer suite where I've got like low ticket offers, mid and high. So my passive income went through the roof when I first started really growing my audience. In about 6 months, I made £11,000 in passive income. So it does help, I'm not gonna lie. It also does give you credibility. I have to admit, like I get a lot of inquiries for management now or discovery calls, and they say to me, like, I want to choose you because I know that you know your stuff, you know. I don't know if I can swear on here. I know that you know your stuff because you're a social media, and I think maybe that's as a social media manager in particular that, you know, people recognize that if you've grown your own audience. But yeah, I would say you can become a millionaire with less than 1,000 followers. It's not essential to have a large audience, but if you can grow your audience, then definitely, in my own experience, the passive income becomes way easier.
Amazing.
That's my take.
No, and I think that's really good. You know, that's why I wanted to ask you your opinion on this, because, you know, I think everyone has their opinion on exactly that, you know, in terms of that big audience. And ultimately, you're absolutely right. You know, I didn't have a big audience when I, you know, hit my first 6 figures, and I know that other people haven't as well. And I think you're absolutely right in saying you don't need a big audience in order to make sales and to grow your business, but having more eyes on you, especially if you've got, you know, well, actually any offer at all, but having more eyes, especially if they're ideal clients or customers, then it's obviously help, isn't it? Absolutely. Is there anything, I know we don't want to give all of your tips and tricks away today, but I would love to know, because this is a question that gets asked an awful lot. How do I grow my audience on Instagram? I would love to know, like, what would you say one of the main things that everyone should focus on if they really want to grow their audience?
Yeah, so like I said at the start, I think it's almost quantity over quality a little bit. I hate to say that because obviously we don't want to just churn out any old rubbish, but posting a lot, posting twice a day is definitely going to help. I always recommend that you use a blend of content pillars. So I don't look at content pillars as like educational, entertaining. I look at it as like personal brand, sales content, shareable content, which is that's like that reach piece. And then educational like a little bit. But I really think that a lot of people are missing a trick by not sharing their personal brand, by not sharing their personal story, by not sharing behind the scenes. Because if, you know, there's a lot of people that do what you do. You know, everything is saturated, isn't it? So how are you going to become memorable? How are people going to be interested in you enough to hit that follow button and to watch your stories and to keep up with all your posts, unless you're sharing a bit of personality and giving them something that they can remember? So like with me, I'm going through the ADHD diagnosis process. I have 2 kids and I juggle that with running my business, having a team. I talk about all of this on my page, and that's what starts a lot of conversations. That's what people remember me for. So yeah, combine posting twice a day, posting reels using my viral formula that has, you know, a strong hook. It's a short video. It really hits what your ideal clients or your ideal followers want to know, need to know, the things that they struggle with, combined with your personal brand and sharing your personal story and sharing behind the scenes. And that is when you will see growth. I mean, there's so much more in it as well. There's like engaging, outbound engagement, replying to all your comments, starting conversations, you know, replying to other people's stories. Yeah, there's a lot in it, but those would be my top tips. Post as much as you can. Just include your personality and your personal brand, and make sure you're talking to your ideal clients.
Amazing. Amazing. I really appreciate that advice. And again, those that are listening, please do take that on board and really think about what you can do in terms of your content strategy. And, you know, if you want to grow in terms of your audience, then again, listen to what Catriona's just shared and, you know, and implement that. And obviously, if you want more support with your growth, then definitely reach out to her. I would like to dive a little bit more into Reels, just briefly.
Yes.
Because Reels have been obviously a very, very popular type of content for a couple of years now. Do you think it's still going to be that number one type of content, or that number one content that people should be creating this year moving forwards?
I'm going to let you in on a big secret, actually. So I obviously have been named the Reels Queen. I grew my account with Reels. I am obsessed with Reels, and I do still find really big reach from Reels. But I've seen a bit of a shift lately, and something that's working really well for me and my clients right now. This is top secret. Haven't really told anyone, keeping this under my hat, but I will let you guys in who are listening to the podcast. engaging quotes are really getting huge reach right now. Have you noticed it? Have you tried
I
it?
have as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I
I'm
started doing it
like,
again back in December, and it's absolutely
I'm like, are we back in the good old days of Instagram? All I have to do, and I would say there's a few things to take note of. It's not just any old quote. It needs to be really specific to your ideal client and their pain points again. Um, and also it needs to, I was talking on a masterclass last night about this. Don't put a big logo on there. Don't put your picture on there. It needs to be shareable. Think about what people share to their stories. So your Instagram name really small at the bottom is perfectly sufficient. Um, Simple colors, simple font,
Mm.
just so simple, but it's getting huge reach. So I would say reels are very important and they are getting a lot of reach and they are how I grew my account. But as Instagram loves to do, it keeps us on our toes. And I'm seeing a bit of a shift and I'm seeing that simple quotes are really getting a lot of reach. So who knows what will come? Honestly, even I can't predict what will come from Instagram by the end of 2024. It's always changing, and it's just simply a case of just keeping your eye on what's working and just not being afraid to experiment and try different things. I do have on my link in bio, if you go to my Instagram, Level Up Socials UK, I've got an Instagram audit template you can download for free that guides you through that process of working out what works well. Um, and using that to inform your future content strategy, because that's a massive thing that I think most people probably skip when they come to their content creation. um but will reels still be there? Definitely. I don't think reels are going anywhere. How do you feel about reels, Kayleigh? Do you love them or hate them?
I'm okay with them. I like creating a little bit of a mix. I like a talking reel. I love a talking reel. I've been doing them for a couple of years and I absolutely love it, where I can quite simply share through leadership and education, share with my ideal clients, my audience, things that are going to help them, but quick, easy, digestible reels. So I do love those. But I must admit, I am a static post or carousel person by
Yeah.
heart. I absolutely love being able to, to really support people in terms of their next steps or elements that they're kind of working on in terms of the strategy. I love a little bit of a carousel post, I must admit.
Oh, Canva queen.
I love it. Absolutely. That is me, the creative one in Canva.
Oh,
Amazing. I love this though, in terms of reels. So just kind of, we're coming towards the end of our episode. I would love to know, what is your word or mantra for this year? Can you share it with everyone?
oh, my word of the year. My word of the year is actually simplicity.
Oh, I like it.
So it's all about doing less but doing it well. I have been growing my business. It's been full on since, the end of 2021. I've had so many different offers and I feel like I've found the exact offers that my audience wants, that I love delivering. So I just want to double down on scaling that now. Having ADHD, it's really hard because I have different ideas every single day. And there's so many different things that I could do and I can do. That it's about really picking the right things and spending my time on those. And also creating more work-life balance, because I mean, I'm sure anyone listening will know, if you're growing a business, the business can take over your life. And I'm ready to settle into my CEO energy now and
Oh,
just have that bit more balance. Yeah. How about you?
I love that. I absolutely love that. So my word for this year is impact. So I'm really focusing
Oh,
on impacting as many fabulous ladies, female entrepreneurs around the world as I can. So yeah, impact is my word for this year. And my mantra is always, actually, I can.
oh,
Self-belief piece, of course. Um,
perfect.
Thank you so much, my lovey, for sharing. So before you go, can you just give that final piece of advice? What's the one final thing that you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Oh, one piece of advice. I would say just take action. I'm always saying this. You can watch as many masterclasses, you can follow as many Instagram gurus, you can download all the freebies and ebooks and hoard all the knowledge. But if you don't take action, you're not going to get the results. So I would just urge anyone listening to just go for it. Just put yourself out there, take action, even if it doesn't work, it's never a mistake. It's always a lesson, and you can always grow from there and choose a different path, see what doesn't work, see what does work. So I would just urge anyone out there who has a gift, who has a business, and they want to share it with the world needs you. Please just do it.
Great piece of advice. I love it. Thank you so much for being my guest today, Catriona. It's been a pleasure. I know you mentioned it earlier. Can you just remind the listeners of where they can find you or how they can connect with you?
Yes, so I am predominantly on Instagram at Level Up Socials UK. Give me a follow, give me a message, let me know what your biggest takeaway from this podcast was. I love to have a chat in the DMs, and I've got some free guides on my link in bio as well to help you out with growing on socials.
Amazing. Thank you so much, my lovely. And thank you to everyone that's tuned into the episode today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And I will see you again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast with me, your host, Kayleigh Greenacre. If you are ready to build, grow, and scale your dream 6-figure or multi-6-figure business, then head to our website now for more information or connect with me on socials to see how you can create your dream business and dream life.